In the northern portion of the Teton Range stood a mountain as proud and immovable as the man whose revolution hid within its depths. In the grand scheme of the area, it seemed an unspectacular thing, too small to interest climbers, too low to stand above its siblings in the region. The mountain's jagged face rose, nevertheless, in simple defiance of its averageness. It had the countenance of a warrior, with craggy heights shaped by time and element. Concealing a network of tunnels and machinery, it was Jared Bennett's most important base, crucial to the rebellion he housed within its shadow. Today, Jared was inspecting one minuscule piece of that vast military framework. Staring across a large hangar filled with a fleet of fighters his engineers had spent the last 9 months testing. Sleek and black, the planes had moved stealthily along Earth's surface in test flights that had taken his pilots from California to Japan and onward over to Europe. Then back across the east coast of this country they called their temporary home. A hydraulic lift approached, sounding warning beeps as it backed up to one craft's side. Jared's engineers stood back, waiting, as always, for their commander's approval. He mounted the steps, climbing upward toward the craft's cockpit. For a moment, he appraised the plane's design, appreciating its powerful styling. "Tight little things, aren't they?" Jared remarked to one of the engineers, running his fingertips over the dull black surface of the wing. His deep voice echoed off the hangar ceiling, which stood a good 40 feet overhead. His chief engineer stepped forward and smiled, obviously pleased with the praise. "We've worked hard on the design," the man said, releasing the hatch with a flick of a switch on his handheld control. "Room for 2, but still light enough to go long distances without refueling." Jared stared into the open cockpit, itching to take the craft out for a test. Even after some harrowing recent engagements, the fighter in him still needed to get off the ground again, and soon. He reached out an appreciative hand to stroke the buttery soft leather of the pilot's seat. "Comfortable, too," he said with an admiring nod. From the cement floor below, Scott Dillon glared up at him, and he could read the warning that flared in his friend's eyes. "Don't go getting any ideas, Commander." If his chief lieutenant had his way, Jared would never go up again. But that simply wasn't an option. Not only did their strategy necessitate his involvement, he also refused to be grounded like some impotent figurehead. Jared hoisted himself up onto the side of the craft and was already planting one boot inside when his intelligence commander, Thea Haven, trotted across the hangar toward him. From the expression on her face, he could tell before she reached him that there was a serious problem, and he swung back down to face her. "The elders have gathered," she announced, standing at ease after he returned her salute. "They're calling you to chambers, sir." The occasion? He glanced across the hangar toward the darkened assembly room where he always met with his council. Nervousness shot through his heart. The elders never convened unless something truly serious warranted it. Thea's blue gaze darted toward Scott, and Jared had the sense that his two commanders had already discussed the matter. She seemed ready to tell him more, but then inclined her head respectfully. "Sir, they wait for you," was all she said. Jared took his place in the data portal, sliding into the throne-like chair, and immediately the sensory scan of his vitals began. First his cornea, the red filter light sweeping over both of his eyes. Then, as he flattened his palms on the electrode pads, he felt a slight tingling as his fingerprints and energy readings were verified. For an answering moment, there was only the quiet hum of data renewal, and he allowed his eyes to drift shut, fighting back the wave of anxiety that meeting with his council always evoked. In the darkened chamber, the council members began to appear in a semicircle about him. Not literally, they were of course back on Rifaria. But thanks to technology that accessed energy packets flowing through wormholes, which allowed them to move faster than the speed of light, he and the elders were able to interact in these chambers in real time, even across the vast distance that separated them.